Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. First tonight, stranded Jetstar passengers have been forced to sleep rough in Launceston Airport after their flight was cancelled at the last minute. With nowhere else to go, travellers, including young children, shivered through the night, finding refuge wherever they could.
Bleary-eyed after a night on the conveyor belt, the Whiteman family's bed after being left stranded when Jetstar cancelled its late-night flight back to Melbourne due to fog.
There were probably 20 to 30 of us that ended up there, and there were children there. So there were young children there.
Late at night and with no car or accommodation, the family of 4 tried frantically to find a room in Launceston, but by then everywhere was closed or already full.
It was very cold. It was very uncomfortable.
The automatic doors would open and you'd get this Arctic wind.
Offered soft drink and muesli bars to get them through, the family is furious at the lack of follow-up or support from Jetstar.
The biggest complaint we really had was just that total wiping of the hands after they said, right, it's cancelled, make your way home. That was it.
Passengers staked their claim on any real estate they could find. The seats were a bit like first class by this point. The next best option was this carpeted area here. But for some, there was no choice but to sleep on the floor or the conveyor belt. And when the family went to rebook this afternoon's flight,
the only seats that were available were in the exit rows, which is pretty good. I mean, they're pretty comfortable, but then they charged us for them.
Jetstar says the majority of passengers were rebooked on flights this morning, and the Whitemans have since been issued a credit voucher for the exit row seats. Their praise goes to the Colonial Hotel, which offered its only room made available when a guest checked out this morning.
It just really beggars belief that they can leave their passengers in that condition.
Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
In a major winding back of restrictions, isolation rules for close contacts are set to be scrapped in the country's 2 biggest states. There are calls for Tasmania to follow suit to help businesses recover from the economic burden of the pandemic.
Residents in New South Wales and Victoria are breathing a sigh of relief, with isolation rules for close contacts set to be scrapped from Friday.
What we're asking household contacts to do is follow some simple guidelines.
That includes regular rapid antigen testing and mask wearing, while positive cases must remain at home. The Small Business Council says it's time for Tasmania to follow suit to help the local economy keep ticking over.
We've got perfectly healthy people out there able to work flat out in that business, but they're not allowed to because of the current rules.
The Department of Health says it's continuing to monitor case numbers throughout April before reviewing our current guidelines. The COVID tally in the Launceston General Hospital stroke ward has risen to 5 as staff await their test results. Tasmania recorded more than 1,800 new infections overnight, and 21 people are receiving treatment for the virus in hospital. Several inmates are receiving treatment for COVID-19 here at Risdon Prison as the Department of Health continues to manage the current wave of infections, but some say the outbreak was entirely preventable.
The prison system is already a system working under enormous pressure, and what this COVID outbreak has done is has added to that pressure and put staff and inmates at enormous risk.
The number of infections has now dropped to 68, while visitation has been put on hold to help curb the spread of the virus. AINSLEY, KOCH, 7 Tasmania News.
Well, Shadow Aged Care Services Minister Claire O'Neill was in Launceston pushing Labor's aged care plan. The Liberals were out spruiking their federal budget measures today to drive down the cost of living for Tasmanians. LYONS candidate SUSIE was at a petrol station in Kings Meadows talking up the temporary cut to the fuel excise, but she wouldn't be drawn on whether it should be extended beyond 6 months.
Well, that would be up to the Treasurer. Again, though, I'm a strong advocate for LYONS, so in 6 months' time, when that comes, we'll be looking at that stage.
Meanwhile, the newly minted local party has launched its team of candidates promising to take action on a federal anti-corruption commission and climate change. The party has hit back at claims it's not a team of independents, despite agreeing to a constitution.
Our democracy is crying out for something new, and just because we don't fit into established old ideas of what that language and what that that label is, then it doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it.
The party is running candidates across the Senate and House of Representatives on May 21. The dangerous Hobart crossing is set for a major upgrade. New traffic lights will be installed at the Mole and Collins Street intersection, with $650,000 of funding secured through the National Black Spot program.
Just in the 5 years between 2014 and 2019, there have been 18 crashes at this intersection, and 5 of those have involved pedestrian or cyclists.
Will commence next week. Tasmania Police say they're concerned by the number of drivers continuing to do the wrong thing when getting behind the wheel. Figures from their 5-day safety blitz have been released. They say the results mean a heavy police presence on the roads will continue.
A busy weekend on the roads across Tasmania, ending with this crash. Last night's West Launceston smash, one of many attended by emergency services over the Easter period. After a spike in incidents to start 2022, police took to Tasmanian roads across the 5-day break for Operation Safe Arrival.
Police intercepted more than 7,500 vehicles. Most drivers were doing the right thing.
However, they say too many people were still caught.
So when we're out there delivering the message, we're out there trying to educate the public, and we're also out there doing enforcement, it's really disappointing.
More than 5,200 random breath tests were conducted, with 41 caught drink driving. 42 people were detected drug driving from 155 tests across the state. 667 speeding fines were also handed out. 62% of those were for offences 15 to 29 kilometres over the limit.
Another 20 people within those traffic tickets were caught for speeding more than 30 kilometres over the limit. When people are travelling that far over the limit, they know.
2 fatalities were also recorded, up by 1 compared to last year. However, the number of non-fatal crashes dropped by 18. Police warning dangerous drivers that even though their operation has concluded, officers are waiting for them on every corner in a variety of ways.
When you're out there driving, expect that any vehicle you see on the side of the road, any vehicle that may be travelling towards you, it just might be a police vehicle.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
The potential site for a new harness and greyhound track on the northwest coast has hit a hurdle. Tas Racing says a natural values assessment has identified a critically endangered black gum forest and woodland community on the Latrobe land. Work has stopped there and the search has begun for a new site. The state government says it remains committed to a new track on the northwest and will invest $8 million into the project. A month ago, the final greyhound meet was held in Devonport, ending 70 years of racing at the track. And St Leonard's tired hockey change rooms will be revamped if the Liberals retain power at the next election. The party says it will commit more than $1 million to the rundown facility, which hasn't seen a major upgrade in 30 years. Hockey Tasmania says Launceston can no longer host national tournaments unless changes are made.
The centre at the moment is certainly not fit for purpose in relation to change rooms and medical facilities, so they definitely need to be upgraded.
As well as encouraging that grassroots participation that's so important, it's also an important economic driver for Northern Tasmania as well.
There's also a push for a game in the Hockey One National League to be played in Launceston if the change rooms are revamped. A man has appeared in court after being arrested over an alleged robbery at a South Hobart service station yesterday. The 23-year-old, also from South Hobart, has been charged with several offences, including armed robbery. He appeared in the Hobart Magistrates Court today and was remanded in custody until his next appearance on April 29. A North West Coast charity assisting children with disabilities and special needs has been blown away by community support after its shop was broken into over Easter. The Fairy Godmothers, a team of hard-working volunteers, is heartbroken over the low act.
They're the real-life fairies sprinkling kindness and generosity, but on Monday night their spark was dimmed. A hooded criminal dashed into the fairies' haven just after midnight. Captured on CCTV, they can be seen scoping the cash register, rummaging through shelves before noticing the security camera and cutting the cord.
To think that somebody's actually picked on a not-for-profit organisation, if they're that desperate, there are organisations that will help them.
Hundreds of dollars were stolen from the cash register, donation tin and wishing well, leaving the small organisation with a big hole. The Fairy Godmothers only opened this handmade craft store in Burnie 18 months ago when COVID made it difficult for them to operate their market. All of them volunteer, giving up hours of their time every week.
I just feel really honoured to be part of this group, I really do. And for that to happen, it's just heartbreaking.
We spend so much time in this shop, trying to build this shop up, trying to make it what it is, and for someone to just break in and help themselves while they did is, well, it's just disrespectful, it is wrong.
Predominantly, the charity's fundraising goes towards providing families with suitable transport for their children.
The last 12 months we've purchased 3 vehicles. We're just about to purchase another one for a young child with severe cerebral palsy that is wheelchair bound.
Today, local resident Sandra Blacklow popped into the store to deliver a cheque for $200.
Just because I'm thankful for all the work they do, and I'm just so upset of what happened.
They've been overwhelmed by the community's generosity, with local businesses also pitching in.
It's been absolutely wonderful that they've come on board and helping us that way. We've had anonymous donations and community donations, which has been absolutely, it just hits the heart.
LETITIA Wallace, 7 Tasmania News.
In the TSL, Clarence is embracing its chance to take on the league's toughest test. The in-form Roos will travel north this weekend to face reigning Premier Launceston. After starting its season with a loss, Clarence has won 2 in a row, including a thriller against Lauderdale last weekend. The coach says, win or lose, the squad will get an indication of where it stands.
Have no fear and take the game on. There's no expectations. We'll get some really good learnings out of the game, whatever the result is, but we really look forward to the challenge.
Saturday's first bounce at Windsor Park is at 2 p.m. Tasmania's best under-16 footballers have put their hands up for Devil selection in a squad trial match at Campbelltown today. From today's squad, coaches will pick a final team to face New South Wales, Queensland and the Northern Territory in games later this year. Western United has locked in a spot in the A-League finals after a second win in as many games in Launceston. Deep into stoppage time, United made it 2-0 after MacArthur stacked all his players in defence.
There's no keeper at home. Kilkenny to Prijovic. He has an open goal. And he seals all 3 points.
Western United remains undefeated in Tasmania. Tasmania's under-17s have broken through for their first win in netball's national championships. After tying with Western Australia yesterday, Tasmania beat the Northern Territory 41-20 at the tournament in Hobart. Our under-19s also had their first win in the championships, a much tighter affair though, holding on against the ACT to win 29-32. The Jack Jumpers say they aren't focusing on their finals chances ahead of this weekend's final round. Tasmania must defeat ladder leader Melbourne United and hope the Perth Wildcats lose both of their remaining matches. But players and coaches know those results are out of their control.
We just have to go in on Saturday night regardless of the scenarios at play. There could be a multitude of things going on, and make sure we put on a good show for our fans. That's what it's all about.
As far as we're concerned, there's only one game left. It's the same approach we had going into Southeast, same approach we had going into New Zealand. And from the last 2 games, you can see that nothing is given.
Training was a little different today, with club members having the opportunity to watch on and meet their heroes at an open session. Sire Deans has continued his strong run of form at the Under-20 Basketball National Championships, though Tasmania lost by 5 points to the ACT, taking its record to 1 win and 1 loss. The homegrown Jack Jumper posted 26 points. It's the second game Deans has led the team in scoring after he had 23 points in the victory against Victoria. And Richie Port has moved up to 6th in the Tour of the Alps. He finished alongside his Ineos Grenadiers teammate Pavel Sivakov and is 16 seconds behind overall leader Paolo Bilbaoui. Port is riding in the race as a lead-in to May's Giro d'Italia.
Good evening. Today's top was recorded by Launceston, Friendly Beaches and St Helens, 20 degrees. Hobart and Devonport 19, Burnie 18 today. Maximum temperatures generally within a degree or two of average, but it did feel cool, but that was just me. Wynyard, Bushy Park and Flinders Island 18, King Island and Lowhead 17, Strawn 15. It was cool at Lyon's, a top of 11 today. Low-level clouds streamed across the west and south. Highest rainfall today to 3 p.m, 7 millimetres at Lake Burbury. Areas of low cloud over southern parts of the mainland as well, some cover over the southern interior of WA, patchy convective cloud over parts of the east coast and Cape York. Tomorrow the high south of WA extends a ridge over much of the country, troughs linger over parts of Queensland. Southwesterly winds at 20 to 30 knots, decreasing slightly during the morning, swells at 6 metres in western and southern waters. A strong wind warning is in place for the entire coastline, and we have a warning to sheep graziers in the southeast and parts of the upper Derwent. Hobart, a shower or two with the winds easing tomorrow, 8 overnight, 14 the top, 14 the high for Cygnet. Morning shower for New Norfolk, 15 degrees the maximum. Launceston 16 and partly cloudy, Devonport 15, 13 the high for Campbelltown, a chilly one in the centre of the state. Partly cloudy for Burnie, 15 the high, 15 for Strawn and a possible morning shower, cloudy for Smith and 16 the high. 15 for St Helens, Swansea 14 and Fingal 13, all partly cloudy. On Friday, fine, cool and partly cloudy again. Fine and mostly sunny on Saturday, maybe a shower for Strawn. Sunny for the north and northeast on Sunday, partly cloudy elsewhere and a shower for the west. Sunny and 29 in Perth. Partly cloudy in Adelaide, 17 in Melbourne, a shower or two forecast for Sydney. Partly cloudy weather for Brisbane, 36 and sunny in Darwin. And it's cloudy in Hobart, 13 degrees, 13 right now in Launceston, mostly cloudy in Devonport and 13. Might be cloudy, Kim, but looking at you, I might need my sunglasses. What's going on there?
Bright and cheery, that's me, Murph. See you tomorrow.